I have been in these markets on some level since 1964, when I was 10 years old with my Uncle Al. And I cut my teeth on this stuff. And, you know, for those that are new to this channel, forgive me for those that have heard this story a gazillion times, but I got to tell it one more time. I remember being at my uncle's house one day with my parents, and he said, "Come here, I want to show you something." And we went in a back bedroom, and in there he had 2 tall floor safes. And inside of those floor safes, when he opened them up, he said, "If anything should happen to me, Aunt Bertie will be well taken care of for the rest of her life because of what's in these safes." Now, I was 10, but still, I turned around to see what it was, and they were packed with pre-33 1-ounce gold coins. I don't think you could have fit another coin in there. And that is so significant. And yeah, it has definitely influenced me, no doubt about it. I mean, that was just one of the things I learned from this very brilliant man. But what he did was he accumulated a tremendous amount of gold, probably at least 3,000 ounces would be my guess, maybe 3 monster boxes in each safe, when it was illegal to hold more than 5 ounces. That's pretty significant. So today we're going to go over how gold and silver perform during currency resets, because that's what I personally am really looking at. Anything other than that is kind of just a short-term trade. And what are you going to trade things into? Fiat money? I mean, that's crazy talk, to be perfectly honest with you, unless, of course, you're going to pay off a mortgage or you're going to buy something, you can only use fiat money. But this is the time to be accumulating, actually, both gold and silver. Historically, you'll see that ratio, the price of gold and the price of silver, grow more narrow. Maybe 15 to 1, 16 to 1, 19 to 1, right? And we know that right now it's very, very high, somewhere around 70 to 1. And it was certainly even higher than that, you know, right up here when we were above 110 to 1. It was close to 120 to 1. So that gap is growing more narrow. That is not a surprise going into a currency reset. That is typically what does happen. But people have, you know, let's see, how to say this. People have taken this little bit of trading, just like those that are watching the stock market go up or the cryptocurrencies go up, in nominal terms, in terms of fiat dollars, and going, oh, well, that's where I want to be. Maybe it is and maybe it isn't. You can't just take any of this at face value. You have to dig a little bit deeper. And all you guys know, I have both, but they perform very different functions for me. You know, I've been talking about Venezuela. Here we go, one more time, because this is something that's happening right away. But in 2018 was the first currency reset in Venezuela. And silver certainly performed quite well, as did gold. However, let's take a look at that. So silver went up substantially. Let's see, hundreds, thousands, millions, so almost 3.5 million %. That's pretty good. Who's going to complain about that in terms of the Bolivar? But here's how gold performed. This is the first reset. They recently had the second reset. We're going to look at that next. I really could not find a good comprehensive graph that would give me both of these, because remember, we went from the Bolivar to the Bolivar Forte. I mean, the Bolivar's name is going to be in there, but they'll change something else, just like that's what they do. So people don't think that anything has changed. I mean, it's crazy because everybody knows that. But certainly in terms of the currency, gold outperforms silver at a pretty significant level. Why? Because gold is the primary currency metal. What do the central banks hold in reserve? They hold gold. so that at the end of the day, when they reset that currency against it, they reset it against gold. Not Bitcoin, not Apple stock, not a piece of real estate, and not against silver. But silver's a secondary monetary metal, so you gotta have it. And when you're thinking about that gold-silver ratio, I want you to think about this. The Bolivar has more value as a napkin for an empanada than it does for you to be able to purchase goods and services. This is really all about purchasing power. That's what it's all about. We want to protect the wealth that we've accumulated. I mean, I have cash, but I don't really accumulate any of those other Wall Street products because, hey, I was a stockbroker. I understand this crap, and so I don't own any of that at this juncture. That has not always been true. That will not always be true likely in the future. But we can see during this first reset, they really didn't change anything, but gold outperformed silver by what, 1,000,000%? That's pretty good. Now, interestingly enough, since that first reset in 2017, of course they didn't change behavior. You just change how you account for that behavior. Don't change the behavior itself. But people won't realize that. So the hyperinflation continued. Then what did he do? Well, now they're going to digitalize the entire economy. So Venezuelans that are bound, that only have access to the Bolivar, they are in abject poverty. Let's face it, they're in abject poverty. But also all confidence in the currency is lost. That's really ultimately what creates that hyperinflationary event, is when that confidence is lost. We've talked about it a million times, but that's because it's simply true. And so, again, 3 years later, not even 3 years later, they have lopped off zeros and reset the currency. And so we had the silver response, did pretty well, and we had the gold response, did equally as well. Except in the prior, gold outperformed silver by 1,000,000%. And they're not done yet. The reset is not done yet because the behavior has not come to conclusion yet. I don't know why, but globally on average, we will likely see 3 of these.